Welcome back. This is Mr. Rose deconstructing your literary essay. In our last session, or should I say video, we focused on unpacking the essay question and creating a working thesis statement. You should now have a solid understanding of your concept and how it is explored in your two chosen texts. Now we're going to take that next step. We're going to write our introduction. To do this clearly and confidently, we'll be using a super simple but powerful structure called the CAT method, which stands for context, arguments, and thesis. Think of your introduction like the opening of a movie. It sets the tone, introduces the key players, and gives the audience a preview of the big ideas. On the screen right now, you can see a breakdown of what each of those elements stand for. But it's important to understand why I suggest using CAT. This is because it organizes your thinking clearly. It gives your marker a clear roadmap of your ideas. It makes sure that you are directly answering the question from the start and allows you to remain focused and confident as you move into your body paragraphs. Now, let's walk through each part of the CAT structure, step by step, with some examples and my own reflections to help you understand not just what to do, but why it works. We're going to begin with context. This is your chance to set the scene. To do this, you can introduce both texts with their full titles and authors or directors. You give a brief description of each. You talk about the genre, the time period, and the main themes. You need to name your concept from the question. If you are talking about greed, justice, or control, now is the time to plant that seed. And begin to link the concept to both of your texts. Think of this as your reader's orientation guide. You're building the foundation of your argument. On the screen, you can see my example. My example is set in dystopian futures. George Orwell's 1984 and Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale explores societies governed by totalitarian regimes that suppresses individuality and freedom. Both texts reflect anxieties of their time. We have post-war authoritarianism in 1984 and rising religious conservatism and gender oppression in The Handmaid's Tale. Central to both narratives is the concept of control, which underpins the structure and survival of these oppressive systems. So here's what I did. I introduced both texts with full titles, authors, and dates. I gave each text a short summary that includes their genre and those key concerns. I named my key concept of control, and I started showing how it connects to those both narratives. A good tip here is to keep your context concise, but make the reader understand the what, who, when, and why. On the screen now, I have a couple of sentence starters that might guide you in your writing. You can see that I have a warning to let you know that these sentence starters may not align to your topic or your text. They are just merely a reference point. Next is arguments. This is where you preview your main points that you'll be exploring in your body paragraphs. You need to mention the specific techniques, themes, or conflicts that you're going to be discussing, and give your reader a sense of how you'll approach the topic. Think of this as your coming attractions. You're giving the reader a sneak peek into what is coming without spoiling the whole show. You can see my example there. The texts portray control through constant surveillance, manipulation of truth and language, and the stripping of personal autonomy, especially in relation to gender and thought. This does three important things. You can see that it identifies the three focus points of my essay: surveillance, manipulation, and autonomy. It links those points directly to the concept of control, and it shows the human impact. We're not just listing the techniques, we're analyzing their effects on the people in the stories. You can see I've given you some sentence starters there as well. Reminder that these sentence starters may not align to your text or topic, and they are merely just a reference point. You are now onto the final part of your introduction. This is the thesis. This is the most important sentence in your whole essay. It tells us your answer to the essay question, your interpretation of the concept, and what the text reveals about values, context, and human experiences. You can see my example there. Through these portrayals, Orwell and Atwood reveal how systems of control are maintained not only through physical force, but through psychological domination, exposing the fragility of freedom in the face of unchecked power. Here's what makes this thesis strong. It starts by referring back to my earlier arguments, these portrayals. This keeps the structure tight. It introduces a complex idea that control can be psychological, not just physical. And it reveals a deeper insight into what the authors are warning about. They're warning us about this loss of freedom and the danger of unchecked power. A pro tip here is your whole essay is based around your thesis, so make it clear, insightful, and specific. You want to try and work your working thesis statement into this section. It doesn't need to be exactly how you wrote it in our previous lesson, but it builds on this. I've given you a couple of sentence starters here, so please use these as a reference point and remember that they may not align to your text or topic. So what you need to do now is we bring all three parts together. We have our C, our context, our A, our arguments, and our T, our thesis. This gives you one complete introduction. So when you're looking at my full paragraph on the screen now, we have our C, the context. We've introduced both texts, their creators, and their historical significance. We have our A, our arguments. We know the key points that the essay will be focusing on. That is in red. And our T, our thesis. We get a strong, insightful, and focused argument that links both texts and their values in green. Use this as a template to write your own. Just switch the texts and the concept to match your task. You want to make sure it fits The Great Gatsby and Erin Brockovich with your chosen theme. Thank you very much.